What's going on, guys? Blake Hawthorne, it's His Turf. Tonight we're going to be jumping into the design and the layout of a hardscape project. Welcome, guys, to Friday Night Hardscapes. Tonight we're going to be jumping into the design and the layout process that we do. This is a part one of a 10-part series that we're doing on this specific project. All right, guys, so this is a big outdoor living space that we're about to start construction on, and I want to take you step by step from the design to the layout all the way to the completion of the project. And I want you to see what we do every step of the way in case you want to replicate this in your business, or if you want to venture into hardscapes, you'll kind of know the steps to take for yourself in doing a project of this caliber. All right, guys, so the first part of this is going to be your initial consultation with the customer. This is when the customer calls you, you go out to the job site, you show up, and you just kind of want to pick their brains, see what they want in their space, see what their, what their necessities are, their non-negotiables, kind of what their budget is, and then you want them to dream a little bit. And so I like to call this first, rendering, this first design for them. Yeah, for me, it's kind of like the dreamer phase. So I tell them, hey, let's forget about budget for just a second. Let's really talk about, what this space is all about. Do you have grandkids? Do you cook a lot? Do you have, company over a lot? Do you have a big family? What are you looking for in this backyard outdoor living space? And how can we capitalize on these different areas to give you the ultimate space in the backyard? So in this consultation, we start talking about water feature, a place for, the grandkids to play. So first thing that comes to mind is a swimming pool. And so, we put a swimming pool into this design, kind of laid it out. What's a swimming pool without a water feature? A place to kind of have that ambiance, get the sound of water out there, a cool place for the kids to jump off of the pool. The next thing was that the customer cooks a lot and they have a big family. So we know that at any given time that they could have anywhere from 15 to 20 people over just in their immediate family. So we wanted a large kitchen, plenty of space, bar space for overflow, places for entertainment, and then multiple levels of patio spaces or multiple patios so people could just kind of overflow, naturally congregate over towards the pool, over at the bar space at the kitchen, maybe over by a fire feature, at the dining table, whatever it may be. Just people could naturally kind of disperse out to these other areas and have their own little conversations going on at once, really to capitalize on an evening together. So what we do is we create a space that has all of this, and we come up with a budget that's going to have this entire project. On that initial consultation, the customer did want to do a facelift to their front waterfall, so we went ahead and redesigned it as well. Then we sat down with the customer. That's when we really start to talk, okay, here's the new projected budget for everything, so we can break it into phases. We know that right now your budget is this, but we want you to see the whole project in completion. And so what this does is this brings it to life for the customer. A lot of times your customer is going to have a hard time visualizing what you see in your head in their backyard. So the great thing about Structure Studios is that I'm able to do that, and now they see their backyard brought to life with my vision. And we do the 3D rendering to kind of bring this backyard space to life. This allows for our customer to see what we see and to be able to visualize it on their actual property. So what we like to do is we like to sit over some concept images at this time, just a few kind of like teasers to let customers see what's going on. In this, the customer actually axed the pool. They knew the pool was going to put them over budget. We'd send them over a few ballpark numbers, and that's when we kind of came up with the space of like an inset fireplace entertainment area. Really changed the design up. After this design is when we scheduled our consultation for a follow-up. So a time that we can actually sit down with the customer, bring the computer out, go over the design, and walk them through it, axing things and adding things, just kind of manipulating the whole entire project right there with the customer. We found that these real-time changes are huge for the customer, and they really help us in a success rate of not only bringing to life completely what the customer wants, but have a better success rate of closing the project because we have that connection then with the customer. And this consultation is usually when we really start to talk budget for this specific phase of the project. And so that's when we start to eliminate things like the front water feature, that's going to be a later phase, and maybe the inset fire pit area or the water feature, that's going to be a later phase. And we focus on what the bare bone necessities are for this phase one project. For this project specifically, it was the outdoor kitchen area. That was the main attraction of the backyard. So that's what we focused on. We ended up expanding it out a little bit, adding a little more bar space to it, so that we'd have plenty of area around the kitchen as he's cooking to be able to entertain and just, occupy the entire family. We also expanded the lower level patio to allow for an 8-person dining table and also for a 4-person round table that has a fire pit built into it. At this point, we had really kind of accomplished everything that we had tried to do except for one thing. We had the family taken care of, but we had kind of missed the aspect of entertainment for the grandkids. Although they're on the lake, we still wanted a space up there by the patio for the grandkids. So that's when we started thinking splash pad. By incorporating a splash pad, it can double, one as a patio space and two as an entertainment space for the kids. Now that really just completed the ultimate outdoor living space. It had the 4 elements that we're always wanting to incorporate. It had our splash pad, which is our water, the fire table, which is going to be our fire, the outdoor kitchen, and then the extended patio space. So the 4 aspects that we need to really capitalize on this backyard and create the space for the customer to really enjoy. All right, so once we have a verbal approval on the design from the customer, on a project this size, we like to actually go out to the property, lay it all out, and let the customer see where things are gonna lay on their actual property. The great thing about Structure Studios is it has a blueprint phase. We go into that blueprint phase and we set what we call the reference point. And that's going to be pulling 2 concrete measurements, one being off of the edge of the deck and one off of the edge of the seawall. And where those 2 points meet is going to be our reference point. All right, guys, so once you have that reference point marked, what you want to start to do is actually pull all your measurements off of that point. So you want to lay out the top patio first, and this is just going to be measuring things off of the fence, making sure that you have plenty of spacing there, keeping your measurement off of the house and the deck, just to make sure that the patio space stays large enough in that area for the kitchen. Once the top patio is laid out, then we're gonna drop down to the lower patio. This area is basically gonna be from the top patio towards the seawall. We'll have a step down from the upper patio because of grade change going to the lower patio. And then once all of this is laid out, I like to do it with string line and stakes so I can kind of get a rough layout before I put the paint on the ground. And then once the patio spaces are all laid out, that's when I'll put in the kitchen. So to lay the kitchen out, we just measure in 6 feet off of the edges of the upper patio. So off of the back edge, I'll measure in 6 feet. Off the bottom edge by the steps, I'll measure up 6 feet. And then from the upper edge, I will measure down 6 feet. Once I lay out some rough corners for the kitchen, I'll measure 1 corner, which is going to be off of our reference point, and then I will square the entire kitchen off of that, doing the 12 by 14 kitchen area. Once I mark the bottom corner of the kitchen, this is going to be the 1 point that I pull everything else off of. I'm going to measure 14 feet towards the house. I'm going to measure 12 foot towards the street. And what this is going to give me is that 12 by 14 layout. To find out what my diagonals are to get this truly square, I'm going to take and do the simple a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to take 12 squared plus 14 squared. It's going to come out to 340. I'm going to find the square root of 340, which is 18.39. And this is going to be what both of my diagonals measure out to. Once I have the kitchen completely laid out and squared in this area, I'll measure just outside of that, and that will be where my cover post will come down and sit. So once I have everything laid out on the project, this is great not only for the customer to see it laid out on their property, but also for me to grab my final measurements for my proposal before I turn that into the contract for me and the customer to sign on. All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching tonight's video. Be sure and stay tuned next week as we jump into the finalizing of the contract and actually breaking ground on the project. Be sure and leave a comment down below because this whole entire series is all about helping you guys either 1, add this to your services, or 2, be able to refine things on your next job site. All right, guys, so take care. We'll see you next week. God bless, and please leave a comment down below for what you want to see. Going out of frame and into frame? Yeah. This is for all you guys out there, 2019. We're trying to get our lawn bonds on. 2, 1. 2, 1, 2. Start those engines, baby! Start those engines! Start them in.
All right, go for it.